Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Silly Point. Uh, the exciting times are finally here. We're all going to witness a first in cricket. We're going to watch the World Test Championship final, which is going to be played between India and New Zealand. We're going to preview that, talk about starting 11s, our predictions, and a few other interesting things going on with both teams. As always, I've got Zahid here with me. So let's get into it, Zahid. First of all, what do you think about the England versus New Zealand Test series that has just finished?
Well, you got it perfectly right. You
Yeah,
predicted you predicted the result, the weather, So 1-0 New Zealand, one game affected by rain.
yeah,
New Zealand should have probably won. Well, they should have won the first game as well. They were
yeah, yeah.
looking good, but obviously, one day washed out, and that kind of meant it was a draw. But yeah, amazing performance, and I guess it just shows rightly that the right two teams are in the final.
Yeah,
Because I mean, if you look at it long term, I think one of the things that the team should be rewarded for is having that consistently over a long period of time, which means that they need to have the squad depth and everything, which New Zealand have shown that they've had,
yeah,
given that they weren't playing their full strength team in both games. And same for India, they did that in Australia as well.
yeah,
They played not their strongest team and they
yeah,
still won.
yeah.
So I think it shows that it's a fair final. The best
I,
two teams are there, so
yeah,
hopefully it'll be a good one.
yeah. I completely agree with you. And just a point on England's bench strength. It's surprising. I mean, England and Australia, you would say, are the two teams with the, kind of one of the better domestic competitions. They've got very good facilities. They've got lots and lots of A tours. So it's really surprising to see how badly the English batsmen are playing. I think the bowling's fine, and they've got some good talent coming through in the bowling as well. It's the batting that's
Yeah.
really struggling, and that's very surprising to see, given the facilities and yeah, and their domestic competition. So yeah, something for Joe Root and Chris Silverwood to think about, especially with the Ashes coming up. So
Yeah.
they've got a lot of time to think about that and come up with some solutions. But let's move our focus towards the big one.
Yeah.
Should we start off with starting 11s?
Yeah, the usual.
Yeah, the usual. Should we do New Zealand first?
Yeah, I think New Zealand assuming a fully fit team. I think Williamson was just a precautionary
Yes.
rest in a way. So I think if they're fully fit, and I think the way Conway has performed, I think it's pretty easy to walk through their batting lineup. I think it's going
Yeah.
to be Convoy and
Tom
Latham,
Latham. Yeah,
yeah,
to open up.
and then Williamson at three,
Yeah.
Ross Taylor at four,
Yeah.
Henry Nichols at five.
Yeah.
Uh, BJ Watling at six. Is he going to be
Yes.
fit? Because he missed out, right? He got a back
He
injury,
did
no?
he did miss out. He did miss out in this game. I feel like it was again down to just being a little cautious
Yeah,
with the World Test Championship coming up, and with this being BJ Watling's final professional game.
exactly.
I have a feeling that yeah he will play. So yeah, BJ Watling at six. But if he's not fit, then they've got a very good replacement in Tom
Tom
Blundell
Blundell,
at
yeah.
six. Yeah. So yeah,
I think the only question mark is seven.
I agree with you. Yes, I agree, and we can come back to that.
Yeah, because I think now obviously Bolt he's back from his quarantine and whatever,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
he's fit. So then it's going to
yeah,
be Jameson, Saudi, Bolt, and Wagner. And Wagner, he did phenomenally well in the second
yeah,
innings.
yeah,
Well, England's second batting innings.
yeah.
So he's shown that he's still got it. So I think it's really tough to replace, drop any of them.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, yeah, it depends on the balance of the side. If you pick those four as your medium pacers, then it's sensible to pick Santner
Side
as
no,
your all
that's
rounder at number seven. On the flip side, I thought Ajaz Patel looked really good.
yeah.
He
But he was
can't
playing
bat
against England.
number. Yeah, fair enough against England. Yes, he can't bat against. He can't bat number seven.
Yeah,
So potentially they could go with uh, Colin de Grandhomme to bat at seven
yeah.
and drop Jameson and play Ejaz Patel.
Just
But yeah, but my thought process is Santner always does well against India, whether it's
yeah,
T20s, ODIs, Test matches. So I'd have him at seven,
yeah.
and then the four
Especially
bowlers.
given the weather has been pretty hot in the UK for a while, and might be or
Yeah,
next week or so. So I think it'll
yeah,
be hot and dry conditions. So maybe there might be some spin in the wicket, so
Yeah.
they might need a spinner.
It is going to turn, given that it's in Southampton. Southampton is generally one of the wickets in the UK that turn more than the others. So yes, I would say that you do need a spinner, but I feel like this team is good. I know there were calls for Matt Henry to play as well,
Yeah,
just because he did well in the previous Test match. His record against India is really good. Again, everyone talks
yeah.
about the semi-final in the World Cup in 2019 as a good example. But
But who do you drop? You can't
who do
drop
you drop?
Saudi Bolt. Jameson may be the only one. Wagner's done really well, so you can't drop him. And he
Yeah,
gives you something different anyway.
true. And
So
the one thing I must mention about Wagner, watching these two games, clearly he's not a one-trick pony. You know,
yeah,
everyone expects him to just keep bowling short,
yeah,
but in the second Test match especially, he showed that he can pitch the ball up, get the ball
yeah,
to swing, seam,
I agree.
get the ball to go across the right-handers, come into the right-handers. So that bodes really well for New Zealand.
I agree.
Really strong team there.
So yeah. I think that's probably their 11. So I
Yeah.
probably sat there at 7. Obviously, the four fast
Yeah,
bowlers.
Satna at 7, followed by the four
Yeah.
fearsome foursome.
Yeah. India. So Gill and Rohit,
Yeah, Gill and Rohit to open up. Pujara at
Pujara,
3,
Kohli, Rahane.
yes, and I would go with Pant at 6.
Is Vihari in the squad? Is he fit?
Vihari's in the squad. He's fit. He's in the squad. But I am always of the opinion that in a Test match you should be playing 5 bowlers. So it's unfortunate that he'll miss out. I think Pant at 6,
Yeah,
followed
I think
by. Sorry, go
that's
on.
the
You were saying.
only. No, I was just saying that's kind of well similar for New Zealand as well.
Yeah,
Like they don't have a bowler in their top 6 or top
yeah,
7, right?
yeah. So
Well,
they have to
in New
play.
Zealand, yeah, they have to play, an all rounder or a.
Yeah.
For India, they probably have to play what Ashwin or an all rounder at 7, right?
Well, I was going to say Jadeja.
Yeah,
He's the obvious
but
candidate to bat at 7.
he hasn't played in a while, right?
Yes, he
So
hasn't. He hasn't. But the
well,
advantage.
he played the
Yeah, no, no.
IPL, right?
Yeah,
So
he played the IPL. Obviously, he had some mind-boggling numbers, bowling and batting
yeah,
in the truncated IPL. And also, the Indian team has warmed up by playing an inter-squad game in
yeah.
Southampton. So yeah, I'd just go with Jadeja at 7,
Hunt
and
at
Ashwin
6,
at
Jadeja at
8.
7, Ashwin at 8,
Yeah, and then you've got the 3 medium pacers.
which are
Uh,
Bumrah, Shami, Sharma.
Yeah, Bumrah, Shami Sharma. I
Pretty
know a
good.
lot of people are calling for Siraj to play, but I just don't see how he can
Yeah.
fit into this team.
So that means no Vihari, no
Right.
Siraj, no Pandya.
Well, Pandya is not even in the
Oh yeah,
squad.
he's playing in the
Pandya's,
ODI. He's playing in
yeah,
the
yeah,
ODI squad anyway.
yeah.
Yeah,
Pandya's going to Sri Lanka. I I was a bit surprised by that,
yeah,
but maybe they're preserving. He gave a statement to the media, Hardik Pandya, that he's preparing himself for the T20 World Cup. So maybe
yeah. Fair enough.
India think that he's very important to the limited overs squad. So let's focus on that, and then we can come back to tests in the next
Yeah,
WTC cycle.
fair enough.
And just one point to note, I mean, we talk about World Cups as being kind of the pinnacle for a professional cricketer, but for the likes of Cheteshwar Pujara, Ashwin, Ishan Sharma,
Yeah,
this is a World Cup. This is their
yeah,
World Cup. So I feel like
exactly.
India are going to be really hungry for it.
Yeah, true.
New Zealand have had the advantage of training in the UK, playing a couple of test matches, but I feel like India have got some test match specialists who'd be
Yeah,
really, really hungry. So I think it balances out
and
quite nicely.
yeah, true, true. And plus, a couple of New Zealand players haven't played right in both Test matches, or
Yeah,
so. So yeah, but yeah, it'll be a good match. I think it's very evenly balanced, like we've discussed the teams.
yeah, yeah.
But so, who do you think is going to be the key player?
Uh,
It's difficult because it's just one match, right? So
exactly, exactly. And yeah, when we talk about the future of the World Test Championship, we can come back to it just
yeah,
being one game. But I feel like it's difficult for me to look beyond someone like Ravindra Jadeja just because of the value that he adds to the side with batting, with bowling, with fielding. I think that's just that all-round package, especially for a one-off test match where you know that you can put your body on the line.
yeah,
It's just a one-off thing, and if you win it, you've
yeah,
done very well, and that's the end of it. So for India, I think it'll be Jadeja. And for New Zealand, Kane Williamson. He loves playing against India. His record against India is fantastic.
Yeah,
Difficult to look beyond him, but with a caveat that obviously he's coming off an injury.
yeah.
We don't know how that's going to impact, but yeah, I'll still go with Williamson being the key player for New Zealand.
I'll go with India. I'll go with Pujara
Yeah,
because he's got to anchor the innings, and it's
yeah,
like you said, for him, this is the World Cup final, right? So,
yeah, true.
I doubt he'll ever get to play a World Cup ODI final in his career. So this is
Yeah,
probably
true.
it for him.
Yeah,
And for New Zealand, I go with Kyle Jamieson because of what he's done previously to India.
yeah,
So maybe they might have some baggage there, although it is different conditions and
yeah. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed. With Jameson playing in the
IPL.
IPL with Virat Kohli, maybe given Kohli some time to watch him at
Yeah,
close quarters, so that might help. I hope it
yeah.
does.
But yeah, let's see. But I think I'm looking forward to seeing him perform. He's been okay against the England. I think he's been slightly overshadowed by a couple of the other performances by Matt
Yeah, true.
Henry and
Yeah,
Wagner.
yeah,
But he's done his job, right. It's
yeah,
not been
yeah,
like awful.
yeah.
So yeah, looking forward to seeing him. Let's see if he can repeat. Predictions. I think I don't need to ask you, do I?
No, you
Heart,
don't.
heart and head.
Heart and head both say India. Um, like I said, 3 or 4 players are test specialists. They'd be really hungry. And India have a decent track record of winning the first, you know, the first championship. They won the
Yeah,
first T20 World Cup. So I'm chalking that up to
yeah.
to some experience, to having people that are really hungry to win. And yeah. So I'm going with that.
Uh, I'll go New Zealand.
Okay.
Couple of reasons. One, obviously they've got some match practice, in these conditions
Yeah.
under their belt, so that's a big plus.
Yeah.
Although, like I said, everyone hasn't played both games. Um, Slightly, I think their balance is slightly better. I mean, India have two fast bowlers and spinners. I think New Zealand with four like proper genuine fast bowlers. I think that's just relentless.
Yeah.
I think that'll be tough for India because they won't get a break.
Yeah. True.
Like in Australia, they had like a Cameron Green coming in, so it's a good thing. So they won't get a break, I think, and
Yeah.
that's I think that'll be a big challenge. And also, just a lot of the Indian players. I mean, they've played IPL, but a lot of them haven't played Test cricket, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Bumrah hasn't played for a while.
Yeah.
He didn't play this last two tests in Australia, I think. Ishant
No.
Sharma hasn't played. He wasn't there at all, was he?
Yeah. He wasn't. No, he hasn't. I
Jadeja,
mean,
obviously, we
yes.
mentioned.
Yeah. That is a slight issue.
The
Probably
England series, I'm not counting really, to be honest, because that was just a
was
walkover
that
anyway.
that was no practice whatsoever for
You
a
just
test
need
match in England.
like two spinners and less random people
Yeah.
to bat, and
Yeah.
that's
True.
it.
True.
I
True.
think.
True. No, I mean, probably the only player in that squad who has had some long form practice is Hanuma Vihari, who played for Warwickshire in the
Yeah.
UK. So
So yeah, I think that might be an issue, especially for the fast bowlers. I think the batting. I think India's batting is fine.
yeah.
I don't have any issues there.
Yeah.
I think the fast bowlers they might take some time, and I think that might. And you just have one game, right? If it was a series, then maybe you could expect
True.
them to come
True.
back later on.
Yeah.
So I think that's my concern, and hence I'll go with New Zealand.
Fair enough. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't I wouldn't put it past
Yeah.
New Zealand to win it. It's a
It is
it's
like 55-45. Like it's very
yeah,
close.
it is probably one of the most closest
Mm.
matches that you'd see, and it could very well be a draw as well. So
What
this
happens
is
if
the other
is it
thing.
shared or what? Or is it
Yeah, yeah,
usually
yeah.
take it because they top the
If
league?
yeah, no. If it ends up as a draw, then both the teams share it.
Yeah, okay, so
There are
the team
no
that top the league doesn't win it
Yeah,
or
no,
what?
no, no. There
Oh.
are there are no rules governing that. It's a one-off. If it's a draw, both teams share it. If
Mm.
whoever wins wins. And that takes us nicely into what the future of the World Test Championship should look like. And we touched on this before. It's one Test match, and I think it might be worth having a series as opposed to
Mm.
having just a Test match. I
That's the
don't know
one.
if you
Yeah,
get
I agree with that. And I think obviously they have it at Lords. I think they
yeah.
should in future have it probably. I don't know, maybe as an incentive at the winning team's home ground or something. Like whoever wins it, like for example, if New Zealand win it, then next one should be in New Zealand. If India
Yeah.
win, next one should be in India.
Okay. I mean, that's
Um,
an interesting idea, but I was, personally, I was thinking more about can it always can the series always be played, the final be played in a neutral venue?
Yeah, that's true as well. I mean, but then you have
Because
to like decide at the last minute, right? You won't know till like a month or two ago
yeah, of
before.
course, actually that's a
And the
good point.
season, like if it's like, for example, if England and India in the final, then if they have to
Yeah,
play in Australia, right?
yeah,
Then like you can't play in Australia in June. So I think that's the problem with scheduling as well, and
yeah,
weather.
true, true.
They have to
Yeah,
pick a very neutral time of the year to play, and it's tough.
yeah, fair
Um,
enough. It could, yes, you could go down the route of, you know,
yeah,
yeah, the winning team ends up hosting the next round of
I
final,
think that's fair.
the next round. I think that's fair. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not an issue. Or then, if they've decided beforehand, this is where the final is going to be,
Yeah, and that's
Australia,
also
and
fine. I think
yeah,
that's
that's
also
also
fine. I
fine.
don't
Yeah,
if they rotate it around. I don't. I don't.
yeah,
I don't
and
mind
then
they do it Lords, as you know. I live like 5 minutes away from it, but
that'd be really convenient for you. But yeah, I mean, yeah, and then there's an incentive for the teams from that country to try and get to the finals.
exactly true,
But
true.
yeah,
Mm, mm.
that's fine. And
But
yes,
that's
having a 3-match series makes a lot of
yeah.
sense.
But that's just for the final. I think that's a small issue, to be honest. I mean, that's not a. For me, the bigger issue is actually the whole championship itself and how it's come
Yeah,
about. For me, it's a bit of a farce, to be honest.
yeah,
Um, okay, I mean, we said at the beginning. I think at the end of the day, the best two teams are probably in the final.
yeah,
Taking nothing away from both of them, but I just think the whole format is just a bit weird. I mean, we can go through a list of who hasn't played who, and how different teams have not had favorable draws and this and that.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so I think that's obviously something that really needs to be addressed, and it needs to be
exactly.
even, right? I mean, they need to find everyone. How can you have a league system where no one, like, half the teams don't play each other, and then
Yeah,
you have like some random matches which aren't part of the Test Championship? I think England, New Zealand, when they played last time as well in New Zealand, that wasn't part of the World Test Championship
that's
for
right.
some odd reason.
Yeah, when the cycle started, they
Yeah,
played a test series that I think wasn't a part of the
yeah. So I
championship.
just find it really
I
weird how they could
Yeah,
have done
I
that.
mean, for me, there's a very simple way to fix it. Maybe we can't fix the bit around each team playing the other,
Yeah,
but what can be fixed is, ensuring that each series is at least a minimum number of test matches. So each
yeah.
series played should be 3 test matches.
I agree with that.
And if teams decide that we have 3 home and 3 away, then that's fine. As
Yeah.
long as each series has 3 test matches, I am okay with it.
Yeah, I think two test series are just, again, it's just a bit. There's a lot of two test series and it doesn't
It's
really
too
make
easy.
sense. It's too
Yeah, it's too
easy. Yeah,
easy. It's too easy.
true.
So
And you
I
get like
would
60 points, right? The weighting is like crazy. You win 2-0 and you get like 60 points for winning one match. Whereas if you win a
exactly.
five test series, if you win a five test series 3-2,
Yeah,
or if 3-1, you get like um, what, a 20 something points, or
20.
whatever, 50. You don't get 120 points, right? You
Yeah,
already get
yeah,
100 points
yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever the
yeah, yeah. I mean,
you get like 70 points, I think, for winning
yeah.
three test matches. So
That's why, I mean, I wouldn't say New Zealand were lucky per se, but then the last 2 or 3 test series that New Zealand played, they were at home. They were all 2 test series,
yeah,
2 test matches series, and they were against West Indies and Pakistan,
yeah,
who are notoriously poor travelers. So
yeah,
I think that makes it really difficult. But as long as it's stipulated that each series is 3 test matches, I am relatively okay with it.
yeah. I mean, and also there needs to be a balance, right? Who you like, the level of opposition you play home and away. I think that
Yeah,
needs to there needs to be balance there, because if you play all the tougher teams at home, then you'll beat them anyway, right? For example, if India get like Australia, New Zealand, England at home, and then they travel to West Indies, Zimbabwe, Bangladesh, and they'll win.
yeah,
Like they'll,
yeah,
they'll probably win all their matches. So there needs to be some. Obviously, India beat Australia and Australia,
yeah.
so that kind of sealed it for them.
I mean,
But
sorry, I guess that might be taken care of by the fact that, most teams
yeah,
would always try to play the likes of India, New Zealand, Australia, England, because they're the teams that bring in the most amount of revenue. So
yeah,
I guess India will always have to play Australia, if you know
okay.
what I mean, whether it's home, away, or whatever. They're always obligated to do that. And even teams like Sri Lanka and West
But
Indies.
I think that then they should be a home and away both, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's something that I can get behind.
Yeah,
That okay, you pick 3 teams that you're going to play in
yeah,
this cycle. You play them home and away,
yeah.
but then in the next cycle, you pick 3 different teams.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I
that
think
kind of
that's
thing.
okay. I think that's
Yeah,
probably okay, but
yeah,
because like India didn't play England in England, right?
Yes.
And this new is the new cricket part of the new cycle or no?
Yes,
Okay.
the five test matches coming up will be part of the test championship.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
then India are going to get very low value for winning a test match in England, which we
Yeah.
know is such a huge thing for India.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah,
So I think that's kind of the issue. So it needs
yeah,
to be some sort of a way to balance it out.
yeah. I agree.
So I mean, I don't know. I know it's cricket is tough because like all the countries can't play at the same time, and Test
Yeah,
cricket takes 5 days and this and that. So it's a logistical nightmare. I know, but I'm sure they can find a way to make it happen if in a 2 year cycle. I think,
yeah.
or
I
especially in
agree.
a COVID affected cycle. I think it was even more challenging.
Yeah, true.
But I think like have to at the end of the day like pro order the points or something because the cycle had to be curtailed and there were a couple of series that couldn't happen. So it's not been like ideal,
Yeah,
but I think it's a good concept. It makes Test cricket relevant.
yeah.
I agree with that. So
I
I think
agree.
they
Yeah,
should do it.
yeah. I mean,
But
it's at least there is something.
yeah,
It's not, we know it's not perfect, and maybe after playing a couple of cycles things might improve, things might change, but they can make small changes, like having each
mm,
series being three test matches, the final making it three test match series as well. I think these small tweaks, they can help
yeah,
improve. And then as we go on, with the whole cricket landscape changing almost
yeah,
every year, there might be more things coming in. So yeah,
true.
fantastic effort by the ICC to bring it in. I know it's been talked about over the
Yeah,
last 10, 15 years, and we're finally here, and the two best teams are playing. So, really excited, really looking forward to it. And may the best team win, India.
yeah,
Well, I mean, I know a lot of the players have made some comments as well, especially the likes of Kohli and Ravi Shastri and Ashwin,
yeah,
that this has been 2.5, 3 years in the making. So it feels a little weird that
yeah.
one test match can determine,
And true.
so that's a
But
bit
that happens in every
unnerving.
tournament, right? I mean,
Yeah,
World
yeah, yeah,
Cups as
true,
well.
true,
You go
true,
through,
true.
you win every single
Yeah,
game,
yeah,
and you lose the final, and that's
yeah,
that's it. That's it. So I
true.
mean, that's just unless they agree on a league format, which is you can argue is probably more
Yeah.
fair because it's not really
Well,
relying on one
the
game. But
thing with the league format is that is what was happening.
yeah,
The league format was what was happening before the World Test Championship, right? It was just each team playing the other. Obviously, there was no limitations on how many test matches you play, but at the end of the day, you'd get a test mace.
yeah,
So that was already happening. This gives it more context. I
I
like
guess
having like a final, but
true.
obviously because it's a test match, I think having it one off, maybe not, maybe
Yeah,
having more test matches in there makes it more fun. So
yeah,
yeah. Anyways, looking forward to a great
yeah.
test. Hope you enjoyed that episode as much as we did, and I'm sure we'll, in the next, in the coming weeks, we'll review how that test
Yeah.
match went. And yeah, as always, please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.